Hello, and welcome back to another War Thunder video, where today's video is going to be about the Ram. The Ram is a premium rank 2 Canadian premium tank at the battle rating of 3.7, and at this time it's quite surprising because it's not Swedish. With the new Swedish update coming out, many people are playing the new Swedish tanks, but I decided to take my Ram out for a ride, so here it is. And here is how the matchmaking was like. You could see all SAVs, and at that point I thought that the SAVs were going to become a huge problem. But apparently at this point they're not, because everybody knows how to deal with them. And you see them less and less every round now. Like, not too long ago, I had a round where I was the only SAV playing. But anyway, today's video is going to be about the Ram. And the Ram, it's a very interesting Canadian tank. Because, first of all, it's, I'm pretty sure, the only Canadian tank in the game. And it's kind of a hybrid between a Sherman and a British tank. This tank features a 57mm 6-pounder OQF Mark III cannon, which is a British gun, and its hull was based off of the M3 Lee. So, about the armament, it has, in all, you could have 92 rounds. It has a 4.0 to 5.2 second reload, depending on your reload skill on your loader. And it has 3 7.62mm machine guns, which are very good at taking out trucks and even aircraft. So this tank, it's also have some pretty good armor. The hull has 89mm of frontal glacis, 51mm of lower glacis, and 51mm on the driver's port. And note that this armor is somewhat angled, so it's pretty good. So in the replay you could see me, I got behind into this factory, and right now I'm just trying to angle my armor against any enemies. You could see that this gun, it's okay, but it's not the best at killing enemies in one shot. You'd have to get like a very clean, good shot in order to kill the enemy in one shot. So this T-34 finally dies after about the 4th shot, and you could see how well his armor's dealing with enemies. So I skipped through a little bit there because there was not much going on. I was just hiding behind the house, waiting for enemies to come. But here there's going to be a bit more action. So the turret, it has 60mm of frontal armor, 108mm with the gun shield, which is a lot, and 107mm on the mantlet. And at this point in the game, this tank is dealing a lot with SAVs. SAVs have a very hard time penetrating its turret. They sometimes can get lucky shots into the hull, which will kill the tank, but usually they have to get you from the side. And if you angle your armor or only expose your turret, SAVs will have a very hard time with penetrating you. So there's a Swedish anti-air somewhere behind those fences. That tank seems to have some pretty good penetration, and I shoot him right into his mantlet and get rid of his commander, which gets rid of his tank. So this tank, it has very good armor. It has an okay gun. The gun has about 107 millimeters of penetration at 10 meters, I'm pretty sure. And it's not a bad gun, but it's not the best either. So the sides of this tank, they have 63 millimeters on the upper side and 38 on the lower side. And the max speed in this plane is 39 kilometers per hour in realistic battles and has a 13.5 horsepower to ton ratio. So historically, the Canadians wanted to have their own cruiser tank because they got the Valentines from the British and they were really outdated. So they wanted to push through lines with this tank. And the hull was based off of the M3 Lee. And the hull turret was used as an anti-air defense, which it can be used in game as well, since it does have some pretty high elevation. And you can also use the machine gun on the top of the tank, and possibly the machine gun on the turret next to the gun. But after Shermans were started becoming popular, this tank started to become outdated, but it did serve well for its time. So it's a pretty good tank. It's somewhat fun, unless you really like to one-shot your enemies. And here you see this guy was playing a very low-tier tank, one of the low-tier Panzers, and I'm just gonna quickly get rid of him because he shouldn't be playing that unless he really has to. Actually, that was the STRV, because some of the Swedish tanks were really based off German tanks. So you could see that my tank, it only lost 2 crew members during this whole round. This is a very fortunate round. A lot of good things happen in this round. You won't get rounds a lot like this in the RAM, especially with the SAVs running around and spamming huge rounds at you from their 120mm autocannon. Only sometimes rounds are this fortunate and you are able to deal so much damage without getting damaged so much yourself. But this tank still performs quite well. It's not the best beginner tank because the armor's not the best in the game. It will not protect you from everything. And the gun's not the best in the game, so the gun will not protect you from everything. So you have to be somewhat experienced in order to play this tank well. But you're gonna see right now, I'm gonna have a very good round in this tank. And right now I just wanted to support my team by going back to the A-cap and getting rid of any tanks that are still there. And my teammate starts to shoot at the enemy and he kills it. So that's my mission done. But I just quickly cap the base to get it back for my team. So this tank is a very good support tank. It supports its teammates very well, and it is a very good truck killer. You will face off against a lot of Swedish tanks, a lot of German tanks, and sometimes Japanese tanks, but sometimes the Japanese are on the American side, so it really depends. So, also, the ram was used in later models, such as armored cars and other vehicles. The ram is a very versatile tank when it comes to designs, since it has a very versatile design with an anti-air gun on the tank and a 57mm gun. So this tank can deal with aircraft as well as tanks, so it's very versatile. So you have to also be very careful in this tank, like I said, because of the not so good armor when it comes to like high penetration guns. T-34s can penetrate it somewhat easily. It depends on the T-34 because some of them have better guns, some of them don't. SAVs, they have, like I said, they have a hard time penetrating as long as you angle your armor. So, right now in the replay, my team is really pushing hard, and I'm just looking for any enemies to get rid of at their base. So, my team spots some enemies on the southwestern side of the map, and I'm going to go there to help them out if they need help anyways. So I come around and I spot this T-34. I aim for the turret and I get rid of his gunner. This tank, it cannot penetrate T-34 hulls, so you have to take that into account, and you shouldn't shoot at T-34 hulls because they're too well angled and your shot will bounce off. So the T-34 kills my driver, and now I'm just trying to get rid of his turret crew, since I can't really get rid of his hull crew. And now my bullets are starting to go through him because he's in his spawn camp, and I kill his last crew member. So I saw an enemy over there, so I look around, try to find them. Pretty sure it was an anti-air truck. So I start to go around. This tank is quite speedy, as you could see. It's not too fast, but it's a good speed that it's a good enough speed that it works. So I see this little tiny truck that doesn't wanna die. I hit him again and I only get one crew member. So I just use my machine gun to take him down. And you shouldn't really use the gun for truck killing because this tank has really good machine guns and it can use those. So the truck's down. That was my 8th kill, and now this truck comes along and he starts to circle around me. He goes very fast. You should probably be using that in early game, since trucks aren't that good in late game. But that's going to be about it, since this will be my last, I'm pretty sure, kill assist, because yeah, I won't be able to kill him fully. But that's going to be about it, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.